All right. Hopefully you can see everything here. It's Kimberly from Starfish Designs Embroidery. I'm having to try and do the this way, hopefully. So this is my new flat bottom girl bag, and I haven't ran the stabilizer yet. Sorry about that. Y'all know I usually like to do that first. I'm trying a different technique here, and it may not work, but we'll find out. So, my friend is going to a Cleveland Browns game, and I have to get this in the mail to her tomorrow because the game is in 6 days. So I have to get to her by Thursday. I was actually planning on meeting her halfway and taking it up to her. She's 2.5 hours away, but I hurt my foot. So I feel like this bag will work with unlined with clear vinyl. So that's what we're going to try. And I apologize because it's probably going to be hard to see because it's clear vinyl. But she has to have a clear bag. Oops. I'm going to snip that thread because it's going to get hung up there. Yeah, I'm still having issues with tension when I do these stabilizer steps. And I don't have access to cut my vinyl right now, so I'm going to wing it. And don't have the PDF in front of me, but you need the vinyl to be whatever the cutting dimensions say in the PDF. So I'm just winging it right now. So it's basically 2 times the height of it plus an additional 3 inches or so for the pleats. So I got 2 there, generous 2, and I'm going to do about that much. That should be plenty. And of course this is from my punk embroidery. I know you can get the vinyl at Joann. It's probably actually even cheaper, but I'm already ordering from Amy and I like to support her, so I just got some of this. I did want to do colored vinyl, but I'm not sure if she can have that, and I haven't had time to call and ask. So this pattern requires putting our zipper down at the top. This is a top open zipper. I call it a faux top open zipper because a traditional top open zipper, you would have a, I'll show you in just a second as soon as I get the zipper loose here. Oh, don't tear a staple in here. A traditional top open zipper pouch, and I have the fringe bag here to show you the difference. So this looks like a top open because the zipper is at the top, right? But the problem with making these top open zippers is we can't tack down the lining and top stitch it. They can, so I have 2 different ways of doing it, but this way is the easiest. And so it looks like it's top open because it's on the top, but you can still see the zipper. Grayson, a traditional top open zipper, your zipper teeth would be right on the top of the pouch, and when you sew it together, this would actually be sewn like this. So that's a real, if you're doing a bag on a sewing machine, that's how it would work. So this is a faux top open zipper. The zipper is at the top, but it's not a traditional zipper like we would have. So let me grab my tape here, and you could actually use some of the Wonder tape here to hold your zipper in place for added stability. So what I'm going to do, yes, Grayson, I'm not doing a live. I can't edit this. What is it that you need?
So, I'm asleep and baby's barking outside. Just wait until your video's done, okay?
No, she'll disturb the neighbors. Can you just wait to go to sleep until I'm done. She's done. Sorry about that. And I'm not going to edit that out because it's my son and I don't know how to edit yet. I mean, I do know how to edit, but it takes a long time. So this one We have 3 lines up here, but these are not all zipper lines. This is the placement. This is telling you how big the bag's going to be. This is beneficial at the end when we do the pleats. You need this line. So we're only focusing on these 2 lines. This is the bottom of the zipper, and this is the zipper teeth. Now I believe I've already measured this one and it should work, but what I like to do is I like to take and tape one end of the zipper, and then I want to make sure it's lined up right. So I hold it up, and hopefully you guys can see this. Make sure that middle part of the zipper teeth is falling right over that middle zipper line. And then pull it down on the other side and hold it taut. And then tape that down. Now, if you do not put some tape along the edges, the long edges, your presser foot's going to push this and it's going to get out of whack. So make sure you put some extra tape down there. So again, down here, hopefully you can see this. I'm making sure that it's lined up with that. And in this case, the zipper is going to fall right on that top of that line. And this is taking up so much of the frame, I don't have any choice but to get the tape there. It's going to sew through it, but this is the transport tape, and it's like a medical grade tape, and it will come off pretty easily from anything fabric wise, for sure. Some of the vinyls it's a little bit more sticky with, so I still prefer my pink tape for the vinyls. So I'm just cutting, and this tears really easily in half, and I'm just putting this tape right along the edge so that that does not come loose while we're tacking this down. Now, my first few patterns I didn't do this tack down stitch, and I relied on the placements of the panels, but what I found is over time it was really hard to keep this lined up. The drawback to doing this is you get the stabilizer kind of hung up inside the tack down line, and it's hard to get it out. If that's a problem for you, I mean, I don't think people are turning my zipper bags inside out and looking inside the zipper. But if it's a problem for you, then use a fabric style water-soluble stabilizer. The mesh kind, not the kind that look like plastic wrap. And then you can go ahead and use a DAP sponge or something to get the fragments off. Now the placement lines are a little bit different, so don't worry about that. They're not even on this, and that's fine. It's just because I had to fit it in the frame. So you'll look and make sure that this lined up nice and neat and it didn't come off this way, and then you know your zipper is lined up nicely. Then pull these pieces away. Hey Grayson, Bailey. Okay, just pull this off the tape, and it usually comes off pretty easily. Now this one, see, this did get a little bit, it's not perfectly on that line. I'm not going to worry about it because this one is not going to have a lining in it, but just something to keep an eye on. I'm okay with that slight transgression, but what happens is the reveal of your zipper will be a little bit off if this is off too much. So if it's off really bad, I would actually use my seam ripper and I would tear that stitch out and redo that step. It's your embroidery machine. All you have to do is, on most machines, is hit a button and go back a step. Okay, so we got that done. So now, and my vinyl is probably a little wide. It is. So I'm going to take the paper away. You know what? Actually, I'm going to leave the paper on here. I wonder if it'll make it easier for you to see it. Okay. So I'm going to let the curvature of the bag work for us. So it's wanting to curve this way. So I'm going to be tacking it down and then pulling it this way. So because it wants to curve, I'm going to flip it over the other direction. And so you need to make sure that we're tacking this down right here. And in my machine, embroidery arm is over here. I need to make sure that the material is out of the way so it can work. So I'm actually going to roll up this vinyl, and I'm only going to tack down the very end of it and let this other piece fall over my embroidery arm. So when you're working on yours, keep that in mind and figure out where yours is going to land. So I'm going to go ahead and actually put my arm back on here first, just because it works out better. We're not doing a lining on here. So if we were doing the traditional bag, we would be putting a lining on. Let's see how it's going to curl down that way, so I'm going to lay it here. Now on the bottom seam here, I'm actually going to line it up even. But when we get to the very last step, I will show you, we're going to leave an extra 1/2 inch to 1 inch of vinyl at the top seam. And there's a reason for that. And I will show you that when we get to that step. Because we're not using a lining, if we don't leave some extra tape or material, I'm sorry. Grayson, can you please see what's wrong with your dog? So sorry. Anybody who's watching my YouTube videos, you're going to give me a thumbs down for the dog. I apologize. They always want to start talking when you get busy. Okay, so I'm taping this in place, and I've rolled this over on this side. And I do have too much length over here. And it's hard to see, I know, but it's here. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. This is going to do the tack down. And normally we would have the lining underneath this, so we'll be tacking both of them down. And I'm using a purple thread to match the zipper, because my friend likes purple. Now with my embroidery arm, I can reach it over here, but I can actually lift it a little bit more. So I've got that tack down done, and now we're going to go ahead and untape it. And again, I have too much over here, but that's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this tape over here, else it's going to get caught into the seams. So we're okay now, we don't need it anymore. Okay, so now we're going to roll this down, and we're going to do the top stitch. Now hold this against something firm so you don't unhoop it, and give a gentle finger press. If you have a tool, Grayson! Bailey, why don't you just put her in her cage for right now until I'm done? If you have a tool, you can use it and help crease your vinyl. And make sure when you fold this down that it's against that thread so that your reveal, your zipper reveal, is even all the way across. And this vinyl is a little stretchy, so it's hard to see, I know, but you want to make sure it's snug against the stitches. And then if you need to tape it down, tape it down. I don't really need to tape this down because the weight of it is holding it down. And now it's going to come back over, and it's going to do the top stitch. And this gives a nice secure attachment of the vinyl to the zipper. And on your decorative bags, or I'm sorry, on your other vinyls, this is going to serve as a decorative stitch. Now the next step, which is number 5 on my machine, is going to be what we would be doing to seam the lining. Well, we're not going to do that. We don't need to seam the lining because we're not using lining. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that. And oh my goodness, oh, this is going to be really tight. I might have to undo this step, guys. See, this is what happens. I thought I had that on there evenly, but as you can see, right here is my seam and here's the top of my vinyl. That is not going to work. That is not going to be enough of a seam. So indirectly, it's a good thing that I messed up, because you learn something. Whenever I make a mistake, it helps you to learn what to do for your own project. So I didn't get it evenly spaced on there. So this is going to be painful because I already did the bean, and I kind of wish I would have realized that before I did the bean stitch. But that's okay. I'll just flip the vinyl around because I had built in extra coverage when I cut this, but I want to go very carefully so I don't cut my zipper, and just pull it out. And we're going to have to redo those 2 steps. So sometimes I think I do these mistakes on purpose just so that you guys get something to learn from. But the reality of it is, I'm I guess I'd consider myself pretty experienced at this point. And even experienced people make mistakes. It's just the reality of it. And I'm sorry, this is like watching paint dry, I know. It would be easier with my seam ripper, but I don't know what I did with that. Because I'm a messy quilter. I'm not a quilter anymore. Oh my gosh, if the YouTube and social media had been around during quilting days when I was a quilter. I did have a website. You guys can go look for that if you want. It's still out there. I still pay for it. Quiltpox.com. Quiltpox.com. And I'm not giving that domain up. I've had that domain for a very long time and not about to give it up. So, but I did a lot of tutorials. I used to make a lot of patterns and made all my little graphics with Paint Shop Pro. I couldn't afford Adobe back then. I can't afford Adobe now. And I shouldn't say it that way. I can't justify it. Even if I could afford it, I can't justify the price of it for the amount of work that I would need from it. So, bad that we had to redo this, but good that I caught it now and not later. And I'm not really sure how I did that because I felt like I had the vinyl all lined up. It seemed like it was lined up good, so I'm not really sure. Okay, so I would take the time to pull all this out. So I got to go back 2 steps. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this piece here. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to redo that step, roll this up, but I'm going to make sure I have extra coverage now. I'm sorry. Grayson, please, you need to do something about her. Give her some attention or something, because I can't handle her barking on the video here. Okay, so I'm going to leave extra coverage over here to make sure I get it this time. Alright, that's nice coverage. It should be good. Hold that down. It's weird, it's like it's kind of not even. Okay. You know what? Because I'm assuming my cut end is even, and it's not. That's what the issue is. So I'm going to make sure it's a generous amount here. I didn't use a ruler to cut this, so that's what the problem is. Okay. Let me get my tape again. I'm sorry. Grayson! Please do something about Bailey. So if we take this edge, we know this edge is even. Okay, now if I pull it up like this. Sorry, you guys are going to use a rotary cutter and do this. All right. All right. Your edge will be even, so you won't have this problem that I'm having. Okay, I'm just going to leave a generous amount. It's going to be a little bit more wasteful, but for the interest of time. Because again, I'd rather be making videos than spending the time editing the videos in the software to block all this out from you. So there we go. All right, let's do this again. All right, so we're going to do the tack down again, and then we're going to do the top stitch again. This bag is not designed or digitized to do a raw edge zipper. You'll see that because that top stitch was just a single stitch. It's just to hold the material down, the first layer. The second one is a decorative stitch so that it gives a little bit more definition to the top stitching. I'm sorry, just a minute. Grayson, please come here. I'm going to leave this extra in here. It's not going to hurt anything. You can trim it up later if you want. Just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to fold this down and ease that over there because it's a little crinkled. And we're going to go ahead again. Remember, we're going to fold it against that stitching, and we're going to go ahead and do the top stitching. Remember, never ever put your hands anywhere near that needle. If you need to smooth, I'm good here because I'm way out here. If you need to get close, you use a stiletto, or these are the rounded edge hemostats. You don't ever get your hand up in there. Okay, again, we're going to skip this step because this is the seam. We're going to pull this vinyl out though because we're going to do our first pleat placement. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this so I can skip this step. It's moving down here because it normally would have ended here. And this vinyl is kind of a little puckery, so you might want to tape it down. I didn't leave enough room really to tape it. And this is going to be the 1.5 inch reveal on the bottom, the 1.5 inch gusset. And what that means is this pleat is 3/4 of an inch. So it'll be doubled over to form the bottom of the bag. So there's two versions of this 8.5 or 8 by 11. There's the 3/4 inch pleat and then the 1.5 pleat. Okay, so again, we're gonna, oh, I hope I have enough vinyl here. I might have mucked up, guys. Ooh, it's gonna be tight. So what we're gonna do is we want the bottom edge of our vinyl to line up with that line. And then we're gonna fold it and crease it. And if you need to tape it down, but this clear vinyl pretty much holds itself against itself. So you don't really need to tape it down. Okay. So there we go. So I've just folded it right along that placement line there from the very first step. Now we're going to run the second pleat and hope we don't run out of vinyl since I messed up. And yours will probably stitch better than mine. For whatever reason, this machine doesn't do a very, even though I back stitch it really well, it doesn't do a very good job with the tension on these small stitches. Okay, so that's second pleat. So again, we're going to pull this out. You see there's the second pleat, and we're going to fold the vinyl down gently just so it folds against that pleat. And again, rub your finger across, especially if you're using cotton. Use a pressing tool or something and rub across the vinyl, and then we're going to do our last pleat. And this pleat's almost overkill because you really could actually use the bottom placement line for this last fold, but one of the tests I did with the vinyl, it was hard to keep it even there, so I added the extra pleat. Oh, okay, we're going to do the D-ring now. I'm going to skip because I want top D-rings. So this is going to be, you can have a left or right D-ring, but I want mine to be on the top, so I'm going to go ahead and skip the next couple of steps. It's digitized for both. So this way she can use like a crossover body strap. Okay, so I'm going to run that. And I got to get my D-ring connectors here ready. I did not get that ready yet, so let me cut that real quick, and I'm just going to wing it. And I'm just going to double the vinyl over, make long strips doubled over, just to give it some extra stability. and they need to be 3/4 inch wide, but I don't have seam ripper, so I'm just winging it. Okay, so I don't think half over will be enough for 2 of them. No. Okay, so all right. I'll do this again. And what I should have done was got the purple out. I have some scraps of pink over here, but that's okay. So I'm gonna just lay this on top here, and then I can cut the second piece. Again, I'm gonna double this over for security, for strength. You don't have to use clear vinyl. You might think I'm crazy for doing this, but I don't know what the regulations are with the bags. So I'm keeping it all clear. All right. So, and it's gonna be hard to see these placement lines because I'm using purple thread, but they are here. There's one, and there's the other. Hopefully, oh, my light is fading quickly here. Now, I'm gonna have to be a little bit more careful when I go through and do these D-rings because my machine does this crazy thing when it does the traveling, and it pulls back and forth. So I'm gonna lift up my presser foot in the back. So I'm going to center this over that so that the top of the D-ring is underneath the zipper teeth. And if you do that, that will give you enough clearance for your presser foot. Your mileage may vary. You may be able to make yours a little bit shorter. On my big machine upstairs, I probably could. I'm going to put a big piece of tape here because we need a little bridge so to help the presser foot not get hung up on that vinyl. You know, that's why I call it a bridge. And here we go again. I just doubled that over. I'm putting it in my D-ring, and I'm hoping that she has a strap that she can use because I do not have time to go upstairs and make her a crossbody strap. I have some crossbody straps that I got from New Moon though, that I'm going to go ahead and send one of those up with her, just in case. And again, I'm centering it over here, over the stitch, so that the bottom or the top, however you want to look at it, this is what I mean, the top of the metal is just underneath the zipper tape, or I'm sorry, the zipper teeth. And then put our big piece of tape down so we have a bridge over that bulky seam. And again, this tape comes off really easily. Okay, and now this is where I need to pay attention because my machine likes to do that crazy going backwards thing when it's trying to carry over to the next area. So I'm just gonna keep an eye out, and I think it's okay at this step. I think it's when I do the top that it does it. See, it didn't do it here. So I did, I did add a travel stitch. So just ignore these travel stitches. It's just to prevent the machine from getting hung up on those D-rings. See how mine does that? It goes back and it goes, it's for the tails. That's how it pulls the tails long. But it drives me insane. Okay, now it's gonna come down here to do the next part. All right, so what we're gonna do is remove the tape, and we have not moved the zipper yet. My first trials, oh, I'm just throwing tape all over the place here. In my first trials, I found that it was on some of the bags, it was hard to open the zipper up after I did the top step. So I have broken it down into 2 steps now. So this is a deciding factor. I hope I have enough final. So we're gonna go ahead and fold this up, or keeping our pleats in place. So this is like kinking on me. So I'm gonna fold it up, and we want, again, we want this fold to be right on top of that original placement line on the bottom. The more time you take to do this and make it even, the nicer finish you're going to have in the bag. And this, some reason, is like getting kind of like sticking to itself and kinking. So let me see if I can smooth it out a little bit. Okay, try it again. All right, so again, you want it to be right on top of this line. Your fold should be right there. And I'm sorry, I think I'm getting ready to lose this natural light of the evening, and it might be hard for you guys to see. So let me hurry up, we're almost done. Okay. So I should probably have tried to leave the paper in here. That might have helped a little bit. But you know what? If it works with this bag, this material is going to work with anything. So I'm just going to rub it along and rubbing its crease down. And okay, good. I did have enough room. I'm going to have a little pucker in there, but that's okay. I'm just going to deal with that. Okay, now, again, if you need to tape it down, tape it down. But this is sticking to itself enough that I don't need to worry about it. So we're going to go ahead and put this back on. And again, this is unlined, so if you were doing the lined one, you would be pulling the lining up on the back too. We're just going to go 2 partial stitches to secure this vinyl to the zipper. It's going to go about 3/4 of the way down. And this is the second one. And when it gets down to this, I'm probably going to have to lift up that presser foot. Now, I am a little concerned if this is going to perforate the vinyl, but because there's no top stitching happening here, I want this to be a very secure seam because it's going to take a lot of stress. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and raise this up, turn it to however you need to work it. And see, when you have these little D-rings in here, what I found is it made it harder to open the zipper up. So now I have this partial seam, and now we have room to get in here and get our hand in here and open up the zipper. Now try and get it over as far as you can. It has to clear that earlier stitching for sure, because you want your head, your needle head to, or your presser foot head to get around there. Okay, now lay it back down. Okay, see what I did there? So it's cleared there, it's over here, and this is the end of my stitching. And now put it back on, and now run the last part of the top stitching. And this way we do not need to worry about our presser foot getting hung up. Now mine might, because it's going to do that crazy thing, so I'm keeping an eye out. See what it is? Yep, right there's what I'm talking about. So I just lifted it up while it went over there. But yours may not do that, because yours is probably not doing it. I need to figure out how to turn it off when I'm doing an end in the hoop project. Okay, now if you were doing the lined bag, you would be, at this point, you would turn it over and pull the lining, roll the lining up out of the way, because we do not want that to get, oh no, I'm sorry. You don't have to do that with the lined bag. We already have this seam in there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the 2 sides. So we actually could just do this all in one step, but I'm not. I did it, digitized it separately. I hope this is cute. And I hope she likes it. All right, that's what I meant. See, I needed to get over that. Okay. Now make sure that's in. All right, I'm going to take a quick peek because that last stitch It seemed like the tension got off, and I want to make sure it looks good before I unhoop it. I want to make sure it looks nice and tucked. It does. It seems nice and snug. So I'm good. So you do the same thing, and you make sure the back looks good before you unhoop it, because while it's hooped, you can go ahead and redo it. The other benefit of keeping it, I missed, because we're doing the unlined one, we didn't need to do this before, but you would have already cut out this stabilizer on the back before you put that lining up and taped it down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the stabilizer, tear it out now while I have the benefit of the tension on the hoop. One of those things I learned from Ricky Gardner at String Theory, and I know I talk to you guys about her group all the time. She's amazing. She does amazing designs. She is such an artist, kind of thing that I don't think I could ever be the artist that she is. So this is tear away, so it's actually pretty easy to get out. So I'm just pulling that middle zipper, and it's going to show the thread in here, because it's, you know, it is what it is. I don't think my friend's going to be upset about it. I don't think she's going to be turning the bag inside out. So I am using scissors. I'm just going to, just because it's easier. Just don't cut into your zipper tape. But I'm just going to trim out this stabilizer before I unhoop it. And you don't have to get it all, but it has to be enough that it's not going to impede on the zipper pull. So, and usually it comes off easily from all the stitching, but for some reason this one wasn't. Okay, there we go. Now, when you're doing the unlined bag with vinyl, you do not want to trim the top vinyl even with your zipper tape like you would do for the lined bag. The lined bag, we want to try and diminish. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and unhoop it and remove all the stabilizer. I might actually leave the stabilizer in so you guys can see while I cut it. Otherwise you won't be able to see it. So we are not going to cut this even with the zipper tape, because what we're going to do, we're going to leave at least a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and we're going to keep that buffer in there so that I will show you. I'm going to use some double stick permanent tape. I probably won't have to do it on this bag, because again, this clear vinyl sticks to itself really well. But if you are using regular vinyl, you want to leave this extra, and then you're going to tape it down in the end. We're going to leave our zipper tape extended, so again, about a 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm going to tear away the stabilizer now. And that original placement line actually will make it easier for you to tear it away. I'm sorry, I'm off the camera and you guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm just tearing it away. Okay, and you might have to come in here and cut the strings away from the zipper area where that original line was. And if I wasn't still in so much pain from my ankle, I went into the office the first time today, and so I'm really weak, I would take this over to the post office tonight. So we're going to trim this down, and it's vinyl. We can do about a 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, but we do not want to trim our zipper tape. And actually, what's a good idea to do, and I don't have any handy right now, is to take and run a lighter across the ends of your zipper when it's a polyester zipper like this, and it'll melt the edges so they don't come undone. So instead, I'm leaving it extra, and it's going to show inside the bag, but that's okay. Once it's all tucked away, it'll be okay. So now we're going to go ahead and trim out this vinyl, and we do have, that is one drawback to this method, is you are going to see these little travel stitches in the side that would normally be not seen in, you can probably pull them out, especially when they're not, the tension wasn't great. Normally you wouldn't see that in a regular non-clear bag. So, but we're just going to hope that she doesn't mind seeing that travel stitch. Okay, so go ahead and cut this about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. And when you get up here to the zipper, pull those ends away so you don't cut through them. Okay, we left the top long. The same thing over here. We're going to pull the zipper out of the way and trim. You're not going to trim the corners here because that's part of the pleat. And if you do, it won't pleat correctly. And again, I'm going to try and pull out as much of this as I can just to make it look a little bit neater. This would probably be a really good time, thinking of it, to use some of that dissolving thread or even the invisible fish line thread. Okay, so I'm going to turn this light on real quick because it's getting a little dark in here. Hopefully we have enough light. So we're going to go ahead and reach inside and open our zipper the rest of the way. You notice I didn't cut the tabs off either. Leave your extra material in your tabs. Okay. And like I said, this is my first time doing this with the clear vinyl, so it's going to be interesting to me if it works too. Okay, so open it up as much as you can and then turn the bag inside out just like you would any other bag. You might want to get in here and trim away your extra threads, jump threads and that kind of thing, just to give a cleaner, neat appearance. Here's the extra thread from that original stabilized or the original stitch line, and also where I messed up. So just cut all these extra threads away. Okay, now this is really actually hard to turn because it's wants to stick to each other. But just go ahead and turn it as gingerly as you can and get it all the way out. Again, you can use a blow dryer, throw this in the dryer, a heat gun, anything like that. You want to be very careful of these sections here because there's not a lot of stitching there and it would actually could come undone. So be very careful when you do the sides. Now on the lined bag, you won't have that issue because the lining actually serves as a end mark for the zipper. It creates the stop that you're cutting away when you use these zippers. So we're going to get our finger in here and we're going to work that corner out, that pleat. And that's what's going to form the square of our bottom of our bag. So I'm ignoring the top right now and I'm just focusing on this bottom piece, one side at a time. And when you get your fingers in there, you can actually kind of get the corner forming. So when you put your fingers in, you can actually kind of see this since I'm doing it this way. Once you get that little bit of pushed out there, then you'll see the little triangle, and I'll show you in a second on the other bag where you can actually see it better than you're going to be able to see in this vinyl. This clear, it's harder to see. Okay, so right there's my triangle is forming. You're only seeing part of it because it's inside. That's going to be what's going to form our box. And we're going to do the same thing over here. So what I mean is we're forming this triangle, and that's what's forming the flat bottom of the flat bottom bag. And again, we're going to do the same thing over here. So just gingerly work it out. And if you have that heat gun or that blow dryer, go ahead and warm it up just to give yourself some added help. Most of the vinyls you're going to use are going to be much easier because they're going to have a coating on them or some other kind of lining on inside that's going to help you work against it. But this vinyl is sticking to itself, so we don't have that benefit. But just keep working it and take your time and you're going to get it to be out. You want that to be squared off, and there's the other rectangle, or I'm sorry, triangle. Okay, so now we have it. Let's flatten it out. And now what you want to do is you want to form, you see how this is ending over here. Let me get my finger in there better. But on this other side, it looks like it's too wide. See, this is the triangle. You need this side to be the same. So you have to work that pleat until you got the same distance on that side. And it's much, much easier to do on the regular material. But so I'm just putting my finger in there and working this vinyl out until the triangle is got, the legs are the same distance. And that one's done. So that one's good. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Wherever the natural pleat was, right here, I want to work this triangle side out so it's the same size leg on this side. And this side's not showing as well because the seam's there, but it's there. Okay, and then what you can do then is once you get that, you go ahead and draw along the line here that forms those two corners of the triangle on either side. Draw the line along, and when you fold it in half like this, it actually should be layered on top of each other. It should be even. So this is a time when you can get your little, I just had it, you guys. What did I do with it? That little scraper tool. Here it is. And rub, rub, rub. And crease that out. And that's going to form a memory for that little boxing on the bottom of your bag. And it's going to help your bag stay. Do you see how that keep those little creases? Okay, now we can pay our attention to the top. So reach along the sides and carefully push out your zipper and fold this down. Remember, we kept it long for a reason. Push your zipper out carefully. Do not tear. Fold this down. Okay? Now over here is the really tricky one because you don't have a lot of stability in that stitches. So when you fold this out, be very careful. Very, very careful. And again, the vinyl likes to stick to itself, so you really have that as a benefit here. And then what you need to do is fold this down in the back, crease it, and then go ahead and close it. And once you close it, then you can see where assess where you need to adhere the tape. I am going to put some tape in here, even though it's sticking to itself. If I can find what I did with the tape, I keep losing that tape. Oh, here it is. It is sticking to itself, but I'm not impressed with this corner, so I want to put some tape in there and help secure that corner down better. So I prefer thicker tape, but I only have this 1/8 inch tape right here. So this is just double stick tape. Mine's coming all kinds of undone. And I'm just going to cut a few pieces and sneak it in there and secure that corner, the zipper, better. Oh, sorry about this. This is like really sticking. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put this underneath this zipper tape carefully, like this. Snug it together. And again, use a wider one than I have. And I cut that too wide. So let me go ahead and trim. Okay, so now that I have this all done, I'm going to secure it really good, and then peel off the paper. And I have a really hard time peeling the paper off of this for some reason. Okay, that side's done. That side's done. Now I'm going to tuck it back inside just as if I was opening it up, and get those zipper tape to secure to the side of the pouch. So work it out. If you need to partially close the zipper so you can see where it's supposed to go, do that, and then just work it in there and secure that tape. It looks like it's going to try and secure to each other. I guess that's okay. Okay, so I ended up securing it to each other. That's fine. As long as it's secured in there. I was going for securing it to the pouch, but it's secured to each other. That's fine. Alternatively, you could actually use some fabric glue or something like that to secure that to inside. But the goal is we want to be able to go like this and not worry about that tail coming up. And likewise, this is pretty secure, but I am going to run a long layer of tape. So I'm going to pull this open just a little bit. And in this case, I'm just going to use one layer right along the bottom of the zipper tape. I said the bottom. And just go the length as far as you can get the flange out there. Okay. So inside, rub it together, get it in there secure, release the paper. Okay, now carefully tuck this back down in there. You want this to be nice out here, and you are going to see that tape on the clear one, and that's just how it is. But we want stability of our zipper. We do not want this coming loose. And I didn't get it. Wait, you would probably be best to leave the paper on there and just release it slowly as you go along, so that you make sure that it's creased right in the back. Okay, see what I'm doing? Okay, perfect. Now we have double stitching on this zipper, and we have that tape holding this extra layer down, so we have a nice secure pouch, and it's collecting dust like crazy. But there you go, you have a flat bottom. This one is the more narrow one, but it's going to fit all kinds of stuff in it. Let's see, I have a whole bunch of junk sitting here. Throw it all in here so you can see. Oh. Okay. See? And it's a flat bottom. So this is going to be great. It's going to hold her mobile, her wallet, her small wallet, her inhaler. She has asthma, and whoever knows what else. So I have another one that I'm sending her, but I can't show you guys yet because that one's still in development. But that's more of a fanny pack style. And you can see I left that extra in here. I didn't trim it away. You can't see it, but if you were doing the traditional vinyl, you could trim this extra away right here, but it's not hurting anything. So I hope you guys like it. I think it's great, and it's much harder to get the corners for sure on this clear vinyl, but on the regular one it will be really easy to get those clear defined corners. This is promo vinyl, and look at how nicely it did. So hopefully I can figure out why I can't get these videos uploaded to YouTube and get them loaded. Thanks everybody.